Hello everyone, welcome back to lesson number 7 of this Forex mini course. We're going to go over candlesticks and the importance of candlesticks. The importance of candlesticks. Okay, so these are candlesticks. If you go into tradingview.com, which is free, by the way, for anyone and everyone, you don't need to be a part of anything to have access to what I'm looking at. This is live charts of the market, up-to-date charts of the live market. And if you go up here, you can actually look at the charts in many different ways. The most popular one is the candlesticks, which is what we see right here, which is we see the body of the wick. Sorry, we see the body of the candle. Okay, it snaps. You know what? I'm not even going to try doing this part of it. But there's the body, which is the solid block, and then you have the wicks, which go down and up, depending on what's happening to the market at that certain time. So you can change the type of candlesticks or the different way of viewing the chart through this list down here. You can see it in bars, you can see it in candlesticks, you can see it in hollow candles, you can see it in Heikinatshi, which is a whole different thing as well. You can see it as a line graph and so much more. But the main thing I want to focus on is actually the candlesticks, because that is where most people start, and it gives you so much information, so much you can tell on what's going on with the market through just simply seeing what the candlesticks are doing. So the first thing you want to understand about the candlesticks is I'm just looking for a more volatile area so I can explain this to you. Let's just, this is not supposed to be very complicated. So let's just look at this area right here, and I want to show you where it starts opening and closing. So if you look at the bars, it's very straightforward here, because over here where you see it end off from the last candle to the next candle, that's where it started, that's where it opened. This level is where it opened, and then it did what it did, the movements between that time and that time. This is a 4-hour chart, so that means each candlestick or each bar here is 4 hours worth of data in the market. Can I delete all these? Yes. So this is where this specific, okay, we're looking at this candlestick, okay? And this is where it opened and this is where it closed. It did what it did while it was open during the 4-hour gap there. So when you look at the candlesticks, it's the same thing. When this is where it opened and this is where it closed up here. While it was still, while the candle was still forming within those 4 hours, it was fluctuating up and down. So because there was a little wick at the bottom here, maybe not the best example because you can't see the wick barely there, you can see it, it's there. So while the market was still determining itself and forming this candle, at one point it went down a little bit. And then it actually went all the way back up to close there. At one point it did go up there, but when the 4-hour mark had ended, that's where it closed off. So this is the whole range of where it was. So at one point, this candle actually was a red candle, because when this opened, at one point it was going down like that. So it was red at one point, but then it moved up like that. So this is very useful information for, especially if you're looking at higher time frames. For example, if you're looking at the weekly or the daily, you can see, like, for example, here it opened up here and it closed down here exactly. Okay, this is the whole body, this is where it opened, this is where it closed. But at one point this candle was green at one point, because it was going up and up and up and up, So it tells you that the buyers was in control, not the sellers. And then later throughout the week, because we're looking at the weekly chart, which means every single candle is a week's worth of data of the market. Later in the week, we figured that the sellers were more in control of the buyers. So the sellers had way more power over GBP USD. In this case, we can see that up here. And so it started shifting down, and maybe it fluctuated, whatever it did. But what we know from this candlestick is that at one point the sellers were so much stronger and in control of the market that it went all the way down here, and maybe the buyers what influenced it a little bit again, and it went up, and that's where it closed off. Okay, so it tells you who is in control of the market right now, what is influencing GBP USD, and what is the incentive of the whole movement of the market, where if the buyers were in control or if the sellers were in control. So you can see all that by just looking at the movement of the candlesticks and the formation of them. So pretty straightforward thing, but if you're not if it's not explained to you, it's like you don't know it until you know it. So now you know. And if you're looking at the weekly or the daily and you're determining who is in control, if it's a buyer or the seller, um, you can look at the minute chart or the 5-minute chart. It's the same concept. The direction of where the candle is going and how it's moving tells you a lot about what's going on in the market currently. That's all I really wanted to explain to you guys. Let me just draw it out real quick. So if this was the body and if this was the wick, then let's go over this real quick again. If this was a buy candle, then this is where it opened. And this is where it closed. And the reason why the wicks form is because at one point the market did go, sorry, let me do this properly. At one point the market was a red candle at one point because it was going down. The sellers had influence here on the market at that time, but it ended up going up, did its thing, and it went all the way through there. But when the day ended, it closed at that price. And so that's when a candle is formed. And while it's moving, you can see it can give you telltale signs of what's happening in the market during its formation of the candle. So that's all I wanted to share in this lesson. I wanted it to be simple. I don't want this to overwhelm you. There's a lot to take in as you are beginning this journey as a Forex trader. These are the fundamentals of understanding and seeing and observing candlesticks. So if there's anything unclear, please let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video.